I know for a fact you're going to have more fun watching this than I did playing it.
Our last confrontation had proven to me that the demon could be hurt. I would need to be patient and bide my time in order to take the opportunity that I knew would eventually come. I could wait a lifetime for that moment, but I didn't care anymore. I was past that now. Time was my friend, and an eternity of blood my destiny. I would make this monster pay.
Whether by check, cash, or credit.
He will taste the bitterness of defeat and look into the
PayPal, but no Facebook money transfer.
Before him. Look upon me, demon, for I am darker and more terrible than thee. I am that dragon, and you are my prey.
Oh no, now he's even starting to talk like Dracula.
I kind of love Gabriel's narration in these. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, he also narrates in Lords of Shadow 2.
Oh.
So this level really goes hard with the set pieces. So first, we're going to start with Epic Frogger. This is actually a lot harder than it looks, even with the new controller. Because you really have to be precise with these, especially the double jump. And if you go too far up, the Forgotten One will see you, and it's just game over. You're basically just hitching a ride on the back.
Dude. This could be the most awesome set piece ever.
That's what I thought until I realized how silly it was. Like, this is basically just an extended game of hide and seek. Peekaboo!
Oh my god!
Now I'm over here!
Got your nose!
This QT is actually surprisingly difficult. I failed it a couple of times. And when you fail it, it's instant death, and you have to start back at the beginning of the Frogger game.
What is this?
Gabriel is basically just the world's most annoying hitchhiker.
This went from a really cool lava flow set piece to a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
It is. This is just an extended Merry Melodies skit. Okay, so much earlier in the LP, I mentioned that that in the DLC there was one extremely out of place Monty Python and the Holy Grail reference. It's in this scroll.
The Beast of Aaargh.
Yeah, I mean, why put it here? What's the point? I honestly don't get it. I mean, it's kind of funny, but why put it here? It doesn't make sense.
You're not sure if there's a beast. Oh my god. There was no rabbit in this game.
No.
4 out of 10. Failed project. Shut it down, Konami.
Okay, so here's the other unique, well, kind of unique enemy. It's the Flaming Skeleton Warrior. It's just a skeleton warrior with buffed HP, and it's on fire. It's such a palette swap. It doesn't even have a unique entry in the bestiary. It's like they all but admitted it was just a completely swapped together an enemy type. This is just a mashup of some of my failed attempts to fight these. There are about 20 of them. This is an optional fight. The trial is to defeat them all. Actually, I think there's like 16 or something. It's still a ridiculous amount. This is probably harder to defeat all 16 than it is to fight the last form of the Forgotten One. I've never done it. I'll probably never will. And you don't get a chance to recover afterward before fighting the Forgotten One, so I just don't bother. I apologize for anyone who actually wanted to see me do it, but it's just endless fighting. It's really repetitive, and I don't care.
There are limits. At
this point, I've done enough of the game that I just want it over with.
Now see this. This is a beautiful hellscape.
Yeah, the cutscenes in this chapter in particular are really great. Like there is only one concept art cutscene, and it's right at the very end.
Yeah, I was gonna say so the first DLC switches to the concept art. This one switches back to real cutscenes, and then ends with a concept. That's really strange.
I guess they wanted to focus all of their resources on this because it was more important to the story.
That's fair.
Yep, so as I mentioned in the last video, the Forgotten One's weak point keeps moving up, so now it's on his left arm.
Is he... Oh, there's the swords.
Yeah, so he fights the same as he does in the previous chapter, but with some new attacks, and every attack hits harder. I cannot overstate how much I hate this particular version of the Forgotten One fight. Phase 1 is merely bad, but the other two are awful.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all because the weak point gets considerably higher up, and it forces Gabriel into the air, where he does not belong.
If man was meant to fly...
Yeah, at least this man was not meant to fly. And I have several takes have failed because I attempted to use the stomp move to get out of the way while Gabriel was in the air, and Gabriel got stuck on the Forgotten One's model, got glitched out, and ended up getting curb stomped to death.
Ooh.
Yeah, this boss is not fun. And none of his attacks are blockable. You have to sprint dodge out of the way of all of them. The only real benefit is that only about half of them are air attacks. Unless you're very close by, they only impact the ground. Although there are some with some very questionable hitboxes. For instance, there's one where he will take that sort of giant mace and pound it on the ground. That one has a hitbox that extends way beyond where the mace should be. I don't know if it's in this take or not. And then there's also the QTE finishers. For instance, this one, which you'll see in a minute. They expect you to catch on very quickly as to what's going on.
Yeah.
So you specifically have to go to one of these three boulders, whichever one is randomized, very quickly punch with the gauntlet in the correct direction.
Oh.
And then run over to do the QTE. If you're in the incorrect position and punch with the gauntlet, it will not count. It has to be punching forward.
See, I'm starting to understand. They charged an extra $10 for the traditional Castlevania fuck this boss.
Yeah, the extra $10 was for your therapy.
Right, they had to put it all into a pool. Have you played the Lords of Shadow DLC campaign number 2? You may be entitled to compensation. Okay,
so, yeah, this is that, and it's also kind of surprising just how many attacks that he has that are just brand new. For instance, there's only one that I can really recognize from another boss, the speed one that he has, which Aaargh and Bronner had.
Right.
And the others, I think, are all entirely new for this boss, which, you know, I hate the attacks. They're stupid and terrible, but I appreciate that they're all brand new. Okay, this is the one I'm talking about here. It doesn't hit me there, but it extends out a good 10 feet from where the rubble is. If you get hit outwards from there, it'll hit you. There it is again.
Yeah.
You'd think that from the rubble that it causes there, that would be the extent of its hit, but no, it has some sort of outward momentum there. So this is where I started to realize, it was this particular QTE, where I really started to realize that my controller wasn't right, because I wasn't able to aim this properly. This is what happens when you fail it, by the way. I saw this cutscene constantly when I was playing through this on my old controller.
Ooh.
This was well before I started recording this LP, when I was doing practice runs to make a complete file.
There it is.
Yeah. And you actually have to do it 3 times.
Really?
Yeah. It has to hit all 3. 'Cause you're throwing him back. He keeps charging.
Ooh.
And I was so relieved because I thought this was the last phase, but no. There's one more after this. And it turns out to be by far the worst. You may notice I now have full health and magic. I ended up having to redo the entire level because at this point I was just unable to complete this phase with the amount of magic I had left. So I redid the whole level. I redid the entire level, using as little magic as I could, just so that I could even have a modicum of a chance against the Forgotten One in this particular phase.
Yeah, this shit gets ridiculous.
Yeah, when I said that you would have more fun than I did, I meant it.
Oh yeah, no, this is impressive. It looks like Virgil's been juicing. I feel like they really just didn't want you to finish it, or they wanted a big, melee combat heavy set piece.
Yeah, they wanted you to earn a victory, and I think they went a little too far with that.
Whew. Yeah.
Surprisingly, that attack is one of the safest to go in close, because the Forgotten One doesn't have a hurt box on his body. It's only those flaming spears.
What is that?
Counterintuitively, it is one of the safest to approach him and hit him directly. And yet it's stuff like that where he throws the sword into the ground where you want to run away. It's very strange.
Does he get faster too?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he gets faster, hits harder, and learns more attacks.
This is amazing. See, this is how you do a Castlevania boss.
I wish I could agree with you.
No. This is it. They understand. They understand the games.
If there was another QTE that happened after this, I would have thrown my controller across the room. But thankfully, no.
Okay, now, as weird as it is that they did what they did with the QTE cutscene, or not the QTE cutscenes, the concept art cutscenes and the live action cutscenes and switching back and forth in the style, these look really cool.
Yeah, they do.
It will be reduced to
It kind of reminds me of the Virgil's Downfall DLC cutscenes in DMC Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
Brotherhood. I'll let you live. So you can witness your complete and utter failure.
Joke's on you, Forgotten One. My entire life is a failure.
Freedom at last.
It'd be really terrible if you brought my wife back so she could witness my failure.
I'm starting to think the Forgotten One is actually a Power Rangers villain.
Kinda looks like, too.
Okay, this is kind of goofy. So it all comes down to an arms race. Literally. Who has the longer reach?
It's so overwrought and cheesy, it could be a Hammer horror movie.
And Gabriel's heart grew 2 sizes that day.
And he should get that checked, because it's a serious condition.
Mercy, my liege.
I forgot about this.
What? What in the fresh hell?
I don't remember this at all. What the fuck?
Kind of makes all that button mashing and QTE and stylish combat that you had to do seem kind of fruitless, doesn't it?
Fuck.
Gabriel just kind of waves his hand and whoosh.
Well, I mean, he had to absorb the glowy first.
That's right. Video game rules. You can't contend with the glowy. Wow.
Oh, right. I'm a vampire now. I can't touch crosses.
There it is, folks. Dracul.
Which does mean dragon in Romanian.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be a lot of dragon imagery in Lords of Shadow 2. Which doesn't make any sense unless you know Romanian. And thus ends Lords of Shadow.
Beautiful.
I just love how hard they were shilling for Gabriel at the end. It's like they had the Forgotten One begging for mercy, and then Gabriel was like, nope, fuck off.
Okay, now that's a heel turn.
Yeah, that's like the writers desperately trying to get him over as a heel.
Now wait a minute. I gotta ask. Did we just close the book on this one?
Yes. Yeah, that's an animation they had to create specially for the PC version.
So when you exit, it actually closes.
It closes the book, and I had to make it. I had to make like a separate image frame for that because it only shows up for like a single frame when you close the book. So that I'm gonna have to like extend that for much longer. Anyway, that's Lords of Shadow. Next video, we're gonna be looking at the trials from all those trials that I missed, as well as the trials going from chapter 7 later on, as well as a few extra things. And a couple of the console exclusive unlockables that didn't make it into the PC version.
Nice.
So we're going to close the book on this LP. Ha!
Aha!